Welcome to Religious Studies 1301, the Introduction to the Study of Religions. I'm Dr. Ulrich, and this is my crazy red basement where I teach and I write, and I'm a scholar of South Asian religions, but I'm also more generally or more specifically a scholar of magic. My true real interest is magic in Jainism, in Hinduism, and to some degree in Buddhism. However, I'm interested in magic around the world. So my particular interests around the world, I'm interested in the indigenous religions of Africa, and I'm also quite interested in the magical religions of the Hellenistic world. So once upon a time, the Hellenistic world was the world in which many people spoke Greek. So this would be the world that Christianity comes out of and Judaism comes into. So that's a little bit about me. Other than that, I'm also really interested in neo-paganism lately and thinking about the nature of ritual and new religious movements. So that's who I am. So our class today is called Introduction to Religions. Now, we're going to be using a textbook, so you're going to want to run out and buy this bad boy immediately. This is called Comparing Religions by Jeffrey Kripal. And the format of the class will be, I will present a chapter of Jeffrey Kripal with a PowerPoint and my explanation of it. And then we will also have something that is not Jeffrey Kripal. So I put together a collection of articles and chapters and media pieces that are about some aspect of religion. So in this way, you should think of it as we have textbook days and case days, like case file days, if you will. So let me tell you about this class. So it's being taught in the way I recorded all of the videos before, so I'll look different. I'll have a less fantastic beard. I recorded this course that I developed at another university. University of Houston just hired me this year. And in my experience, it's really good for me to try to teach a class that I've done really well in the same way as I've done before, and then have the students kind of give me feedback. I'm very much into student feedback. Every week, you'll write what's called an exit ticket, where you will assess the class and my performance as your instructor and what I've assigned to you and the materials. And then you'll also assess yourself. And I'm going to take note of that every week, and you'll write a big one at the end of the class. And I want you to tell me what you like, what you don't like, and what really seems to fit with the University of Houston context. I developed this course at Youngstown State University because I was hired to teach a world religions course that was also kind of an introduction to religions course. And I wanted to teach a course that reflected my viewpoint as a more mature scholar of how to do the study of religion and how to ask kind of the big, interesting questions. So while I will do 20 minutes on Jainism, 20 minutes on Islam and whatever, we're also going to ask bigger questions like, what is an invisible supernatural deity? What is the soul? What does it mean to be a human being? What is the history of human consciousness? Big questions. Demons, magic, angels, all of this stuff. We're even going to do quite a bit about aliens. And you'll remember the section on aliens. Students always dig the section on aliens. So we're doing it for the first time this semester at University of Houston, probably because I'm going to rework it next year when I hopefully teach it again. But this is a great class. I've taught it a bunch of times. I really refined the assignments. It's very successful. Students really quite like it. I hope you like it. I think you will. You can already tell that I talk a lot. I move my hands around. In every lecture you get from me, there will be a solid, clear PowerPoint, and you'll have me talking. And some students have even told me that they just listen to the lectures while they're driving and commuting to work. Some students tell me they watch them at night with their pals because they find them kind of fun. Other students say they just sit in their bedroom and watch it and kind of then do the assignments. So it's up to you, but I can guarantee you, this is not the type of class where you're just going to get like 3 reading assignments, something you need to write up, and a quiz. That's not how it works. This class is really going to feel like you're attending a lecture course, like you are sitting right in the front row, though you won't get spit on as much as you probably would if I was actually teaching. So you'll be in the front row. You'll have a good PowerPoint. And I take teaching asynchronously really seriously. So I give a lot of feedback maybe not a lot of feedback, but I'll give you at least one sentence on everything you do. I can make the promise of that. And I connect everything to the reading. So everything is really tight. I feel like a lot of students feel that they get lost in these online classes, and they feel that it doesn't really relate to the materials, and the lectures are kind of all over the place. Well, this one, I'm going to try to keep clear. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to read through the syllabus. Why do I read through the syllabus? Because the syllabus is an agreement between you and I. And at this point, you and I are going to work against the syllabus. Yes, I wrote the syllabus. The syllabus is what we agreed to do. And then we're going to work from there to get you to fulfill the course requirements. So print out your syllabus and get ready to read. And I will share my screen and get this syllabus out here. Okay. Sorry, this is just taking me a second. I hate it when it takes a second. All right, so this is what a lot of the class is going to look like. It's going to look like me talking over a syllabus, or not a syllabus, but a PowerPoint. So I'm just going to read off the PowerPoint in front and talk about it. So the syllabus is tentative. Defer to the Blackboard modules and the calendar dates for the actual times. And I didn't put the actual dates and due dates in here because I found that the students do much better when they don't refer back to the syllabus, but they look at the calendar through Blackboard. And I'll keep that updated as we go along with the course. So the class is called Introduction to Religious Studies. Who is teaching the class? It's me, Dr. Ulrich. Why do I go by Dr. Ulrich and not my first name, Aaron or Aaron Michael or whatever? Well, the thing is, as I've wandered this earth and I've been an academic, I find a lot of women and people of color struggle to get students to refer to them as doctor or professor. So I don't really care. You could call me Aaron. It wouldn't bother me that much. But I have come to the conclusion that insisting on calling me doctor or me professor, so you'll refer to me as Dr. Ulrich or Professor Ulrich, I do that in solidarity of other professors who struggle to get students to honestly respect them, respect their titles. It's not that big of a deal to me, but I'm in solidarity with those people. All right, so where? It's going to be online. Asynchronous lessons are going to go live Monday and Wednesday. I know today's Tuesday, but we have Martin Luther King Day. Deadlines will be Friday and Sunday. I'm going to try to get the week's lessons up on Sunday whenever possible. I know in practice it ends up that all your lessons for the week probably come up on Monday. FYI, I live in Denver. Yes, I don't live in Houston. So I'm on Mountain Time, which puts me, not 2 hours behind you, but 1 hour behind you. Where am I 2 hours behind you? I can never remember for sure. Okay, so I am Aaron Michael Ulrich, and there is my email address, amulrich@central.uh.edu. It's an ugly sounding email, I know. I'll be teaching remotely, so I don't have an office. My office hours are by appointment via Zoom, phone, or email. I will accommodate your busy schedules. I'm going to work around you, and I'm trying to get better at that and better at, keeping a day planner myself and whatnot. So how to contact me? Please use my email above. I check email for a 1 hour period daily, and I'll try to get back to you within 24 hours. Compose your emails in formal English and strive toward professionalism in all correspondence with me and other students. An undergraduate degree is an exercise in professionalization. I aim to respond to all emails within 24 hours. Now, we don't talk about this a lot. How is an undergraduate degree professionalization? Well, you need to learn to communicate in formal ways, which will serve you well throughout your careers, not only just through your scholastic time when you're in college, but throughout all of your lives. I'll talk more about this as we go along. And I'm sorry, I might have to take a break for seconds here. I had a tooth pulled on Friday, which was very unpleasant. And I once again was reminded that I have a resistance to lidocaine, so it's pretty darn painful. Okay, what's our course description? What is religion? What are religions? Notice the big R and the little r. What are the main religions? And what does it mean to be a main or major or great religion? Is religion something you think or something you do? And you'll hear me say over and over again that religion is things that people do, not what they think. If you're doing Buddhist religion, is that the same as doing Jewish religion? Are prayer and meditation the same? What is the difference between a mantra like Om Namah Shivaya, the Sanskrit words that many Hindus say, Om, I bow to Shiva, and a hymn like Oh Mighty Fortress is our God? I was a Calvinist before I was a whatever I am now. Do folk really understand an ohm symbol to be like a crucifix? So thinking about symbols differently in different religions. Are miracles and revelation limited to the past when God was closer to man, or do they continue? What is a holy man, and how does charisma shape religious innovations? What is a cult? And is a cult different than traditional religions? We've got a unit on cults. I think you'll dig it. There's so many interesting like cult podcasts and documentaries now. So I hope it'll help make a little bit of sense of that business. Can mystic experience be reduced to altered states of consciousness? And if so, what are the role of entheogens and psychedelics? We'll talk about some psychedelics. All right, can other beings inhabit a human body? And can that possession be a good thing? Is there a malevolent possession and a benevolent possession? Can beings from the stars contact humans? And how might they compare to sky beings in the past? What's the difference between an angel and an alien? What do you do with a dead body? Can we locate active religious writing outside scripture, namely in movies, comic books, or online media? I will argue yes. Are religious folk looking to make sense of their world, or are they looking to dominate their world? These are the types of questions that are the engine of this course, but the destination is unclear. Together, we will destabilize our understanding of religion and religions, aiming to see the world a bit clearer and to recognize worlds previously unseen. It's going to be a trip. A few words are required on the history and context of such courses. I am structuring this course around the typical introduction to the study of religions courses called World Religions. Like I said, this was originally a World Religions class that I'm adapting for UH, and I want to see how it works, so I want to get your feedback a lot. World Religions is a classic course in religion and religious studies departments, but the course title has a troubling history in which only religions considered to affect history are considered a world religion. The contents of such courses are limited to Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, since Western history is real history. Courses may admit some reference to Buddhism and maybe some Hinduism, but never Jainism, Sikhism, folk religions, animism, or the varied Chinese and African religions, let alone esoteric traditions. Especially troubling is the elision, the removal even, of First Nations religions in the Americas. Privileging religions in this manner defers and supports not only colonial depictions of the world, but Western chauvinism. Another approach, equally problematic, only teaches religions that are considered non-Western, i.e. world religions are not the Western religions. A proper world religions or religions of the world course abandon such rankings and categories in favor of studying whatever and whenever data that creates insights. And that's my point as we're studying religion. I don't want to rank the religions. Whatever religious data we can use to give us insights to understand religions and the many movements of human consciousness, we're going to grab that and use it. Note that data is the plural of datum. So data is plural. The datas are, if you will. We are uncovering multiple and divergent worldviews throughout the scope of human consciousness. This course eschews preoccupations with distinctions such as monotheism and polytheism, East and West, historical and ahistorical, or faith and works. It will not be divided by discrete religious boundaries, which are never as distinct as they appear. We will study the religions in and of the world, not world religions. Religious discourse is diffuse and vast, the very stuff that makes up our cultures and our minds. Religions are not all the same, but folk universally encounter stuff deemed religious, and their reactions to that encounter make up and shape worldviews. As you're going to see throughout this course, it gets hard to figure out what's not religious. Based on comparing religions, Jeffrey Kripal's New School textbook, we will develop a method to interpret and compare religious contents, placing emphasis on what folk do rather than what they think or believe. Oh, Jeffrey Kripal lives in Houston. He teaches at Rice. I met him like 20 years ago, but I haven't seen him since. Religious discourse and rituals, mostly pulling from South Asian religions, I'm going to pull a lot of Hinduism and South Asian religions into this, will be examined as case studies, applying the methods explored in lectures and the textbook. This Asian orientation has the benefit of grounding our study in non-Western perspectives, eschewing predominant norms. I talk a lot in my own work about how when we're studying religion and when we're studying especially religions like Buddhism, we need to not use Western categories. We need to be able to see religion not filtered through our own Western categories. Now, despite your background, I mean, if you were raised Hindu in America, you would think you don't have a Western perspective. You're Hindu. However, as I know from lots of Hindus, when you really grow up in the United States, or even live in the United States if you've immigrated there, you'll see that these Western categories of Christianity, namely Protestant Christianity, filter every way we think about religion. So what does it mean to come to religions and try to be as free and objective as possible, which is never really possible, but to just not think about Western religions to interpret other religions? Okay. Course activities compare case studies with religious experiences in the United States informed by our own opinions and experiences. A good religious studies course makes the strange familiar and the familiar strange. This course aims not to fill students' heads with details about diverse religions, but to develop skills enabling students to richly interpret religious phenomenon and actively cultivate religious literacy. These skills are lifelong tools. I would argue that at the end of this class, you will not only have the ability to you'll have enough background on the basics of most religions to really talk to anyone, which is religious literacy, but you'll also have a greater understanding of kind of the stakes of religion, what religion's all about, that will really enable you to have communications and have rich conversations with whomever you talk about religion, even people who are not religious. As I argue with many of my classes, pay attention. You'll find that you're going to get some information here, and you'll get some ideas here from the assignments and from what you'll be doing, you'll be writing and thinking about. You're going to be the most interesting person at the party. Somebody's going to bring up one of these topics we talked in class, and you're going to go, bah, 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 and you'll have so many cool things to say. So, while this class is great for professionalization and religious literacy, it's also good because it makes you neat at parties. All right. So, all this work learning about religions and comparing religious phenomenon fosters intercultural competency and enables rich engagement with all sorts of religious folk. Fruitfully engaging diverse individuals and communities is a key outcome for any university education, useful to any major and all professors, especially medicine, social work, criminal justice, and business. Being able to talk to people of diverse backgrounds, and even being able to talk to people of not so diverse backgrounds, but being able to talk about religion and understand other people's religions is essential in these professions. So if you're in social work or if you're in medicine, you're going to be talking to people all the time, and understanding their religious rhetoric and where they're coming from religiously will really help you be successful in these social situations. Course materials include Jeffrey Kripal's Comparing Religions, an exciting and controversial textbook by an exciting and controversial scholar. Jeffrey Kripal has been banned from India, that spans religious traditions and traditional boundaries using religious studies theories to reveal themes, comparisons, and contrasts across religious data. It even talks about aliens and superpowers. The paranormal might not be so abnormal after all. Each module explores a chapter of Kripal's textbook and some case studies. Assignments apply Kripal's theories to these case studies, but then will interpret one's own religious experiences, students' own experiences of Western religion, or to make larger interpretations of religions, society, and culture. While we study the religions of others, we become aware that this study also interprets ourselves. You will surely have something to talk about at parties and gatherings. Objectives. Students will be able to explore the development of history of religions, religious studies, world religions, and intellectual histories, and critically reflect on these disciplines. Develop techniques of quality comparison, including what makes an effective comparison and an ineffective comparisons. Students will be able to articulate cohesive theses, that's the plural of thesis, that illuminate all topics, avoiding the dreaded same but different argument that many students make every time they do a comparison. Students will evaluate and organize evidence. Students will make use of comparative rhetoric that makes an argument and proves it. Make use of peer-reviewed academics, scholarly sources. Identified unexpected religions and aspects of religions, especially the religions of India. Because I'm an expert in the religions of India, of course, I'm going to draw from that a lot. All the while, students will interrogate divisions of East and West, noting common themes and divergencies. World religions courses historically ignore Asian religions outside of particular forms of Buddhism. Identify non-traditional realms of religious experience and discourse: media, artistic, paranormal, esoteric, ufological, civil religion, vernacular, and so forth. I'm editing a book that should be coming out in May called Living Folk Religions. And it becomes very clear that when you start thinking about what are folk religions, there's a lot more religion going on than you would imagine. I have everything from heavy metal concerts to Bengali folk song to Bengali epic songs to a piece about UFOs and the government. And I even have a pal of mine wrote an article where he encountered someone who's a Satanist and an exorcist, a satanic exorcist. Fascinating stuff. Articulate theoretical themes such as polytheism, religion on the ground, literary versus vernacular, pragmatic ritual technologies, i.e. magic, the effects of colonialism, religion and modernity, and so on. Explore living religions depicted in practices, texts, sites, and media artifacts. I know these are a lot of words. When you come back and reread these objectives at the end, you'll go, oh yeah, I know about all that. You're going to write in multiple genres of religions, expanding writing skills in conjunction with effective research. Oh, and I missed. Gain a broad appreciation about how religions interact in and with history. Identify the religious underpinnings of contemporary cultures and worldviews in the United States. What's religion about? What's religious about the 4th of July? Let's think about it. Explore diversity, multiculturalism, intersectionality in the context of varied religions and religion. Recognize multiple worldviews with and toward effective communication in life and in the workplace. Textbooks can be this, Jeffrey Kripal, and where's my copy of Strunk and White? I usually have a copy on my hand. I don't have a copy right now offhand. I'm sorry. There's a little book called Strunk and White, Elements of Style. If you don't have it, purchase it. I'll make reference to it when I'm reviewing your writing. Other materials will be provided by the professor on Blackboard. These materials may change throughout the course. Students are required to maintain reliable internet and a working computer device. That's requirement. A laptop or desktop is preferable, for phones and tablets are not reliable for all the course tasks. I've learned this over the years. However, you can download onto your phone or your tablets the Blackboard app, and it works better than trying to use Blackboard through a browser on your phone. So download the Blackboard app. Okay, should a movie or documentary be assigned that is not on YouTube? Students are responsible for acquiring access via streaming services. We'll watch one movie on Netflix. Assignments. Online courses require more student activities than in-person courses. This is a trade-off for class at your own pace, on your own terms, and your preferred location. My courses have a lot of writing. There's a lot of reading, there's a lot of writing, but it's not a hard class. I mean, it's like I feel like I give out A's, C's, and F's. And it's really dependent on, did you do the work or didn't you? If you do all the work, you're gonna get a B or higher just by doing the work, even if you phone in all the work. You just got to do it. However, we have a very large class. There's 49 of you to start out with, and I have people on the wait list wanting to get in. So I may have to scale back the amount of assignments just out of my so I don't go nuts, because I do take grading seriously and I will read every word that you write. Online courses are more convenient, but they are more work. Each lesson contains readings, multimedia introductory material, lectures, a discussion forum, and an assignment. You'll be asked to perform weekly assessments of the course and your performance that week. I call these exit tickets. And it's also a way for you to just communicate with me in general. In addition, you will have a midterm and a final paper. I am not planning a midterm or final exam. I've changed that around. I think I'm going to have a take-home midterm and a take-home final, but they'll be more structured, like a paper. Oddly, it'll make sense. Though we will be writing online, students should approach all assignments and communication with the professor and other students as if they were papers submitted in class, handed in on paper. Use standard grammar, spelling, and punctuation. Do not use acronyms or internet text speech. All written work should be revised at least once, i.e., read over and edit before you hit the submit button. I recommend anytime you write, read it out loud before you hit submit. Just go back and read it out loud, and you'll find that you've missed words or your tenses are off if you just read it out loud. Remember that for all of your life. Anytime you're writing, read it out loud before submitting. Okay, Cut and paste should only be used for direct quotes, which must be cited. I would say don't use cut and paste ever, and I'll make this point later. Every time I get students that have a plagiarism problem, it's often inadvertent, and it's because they've cut and pasted and forgot to make a quote or something. Just don't cut and paste. Remove cutting and pasting from your fingertips in this class. Students are expected to read every word that I assign, though this is rarely possible in practice. I suggest students read with a purpose. This means to pre-read by skimming each text, then only read the most relevant material to the topic. In general, I would actually say you should read through the assignments first. You should read through the assignments each week before you even watch the lectures, so you know what to take notes for and know what to read for. Okay. Read in detail and take notes on important sources, especially if the course materials appear relevant for a paper topic. Optional and recommended reading assignments are truly optional, but they're good for you. If I say it's optional and recommended, you can get some extra credit for it, but they really are optional. I'm not going to mess with you on that. Reading group and short writing assignments before starting your course reading will help you focus on your reading and note-taking. So group and short writing assignments. Like I said, read the assignments first before you do the reading. Supporting multimedia videos and new lectures. My tooth, or my lack of tooth, the hole in my jaw. Yeah, I've had this whole horrible thing where I had what's called a trigeminal neuralgia, which is an inflammation of a nerve that goes like that, and is described as being one of the most painful things you can experience. So that happened in December, and I've been dealing with it ever since. And I broke a tooth on December 25th. I know, I'm like Job. It's getting old sucks. You didn't believe the amount of drugs I take now. Okay. Whenever possible, the videos, and I have a bunch of like YouTube videos to start out every lesson. Whenever possible, videos will show rituals and practices, portray religious sites, or support discussions or short assignments. Sometimes you may not have time to watch the introductory materials, and that's fine. In that case, be sure to read the discussions and assignments to see if any particular video is actually required for an assignment you need to do. Lectures will range in length, but they will always have a PowerPoint, audio, and video. I'm an energetic speaker, and I hope you'll find the lectures enjoyable. Most students actually like the lectures. Do not expect a monotone voice over a PowerPoint. I am committed to bringing my high-impact performances from the lecture hall directly to your computer. I will make sure you have a PDF of the PowerPoint before you watch the lecture. All of that is true, and I won't talk in that kind of a voice. Discussion boards, here's the thing. Discussion boards are never really discussions online. Despite their promise to simulate in-person discussions, they don't work. So think of these discussion boards as group writing projects. You'll be asked to make an original post and then expand on other students' posts. So yeah, don't think of it as a discussion. You're not really talking to people. You're doing a group writing assignment in which everyone is contributing to an overall group writing assignment. I would like you to refrain from passing judgments, such as, I think this is good, or proclaiming value. This is interesting. Your task is to expand on other students' posts, making further arguments, providing more data, or critiquing the argument and asking further questions. Often you will be required to cite sources and bring in further research to support your posts and replies. Again, this is not really a discussion, but group writing, in which students react, complicate, and add data to the assigned task. Discussion boards will also be used for paper and assignment writing support. Each group writing assignment will have a rubric. I always give you a rubric. And while these are group assignments, student will be assessed only on their own performance. I will only grade you on what you do. Students often complain that response posts are hard to do because other students take so long to post their initial posts. So be good to your fellow students and write your original posts early. That might not be a problem because we have so many students. I recommend writing your original post right after you watch the lecture and do the reading, and then come back a few days later and do the responses. Almost every lesson will have a short writing assignment, which will mostly be informal and creative using multiple styles and genres. Tasks may include writing a school newspaper article, a letter to a friend, a movie pitch, anthropology fieldwork, and so forth. All right, my STEM students always freak out about this. Like, I haven't written creative ever. I'm like, you'll be fine. Just read the assignment, let yourself go creatively. There is no right answer. I'm looking to see the way you engage the material from the course. You will also be asked to make videos and memes. I love my meme assignments. Often these assignments will require you to engage the contents and then react from your own perspective or compare contents to your own experiences. My main goals in these assignments is to get you to reprocess the materials and do something with them. Each short writing assignment will have a rubric. Okay, so this is what I've learned about learning. If you want to learn something, you need to see it 4 times. You need to do 4 things with it. First time, you read. You read. Second time, you hear the lecture, look at the PowerPoint. Third time, you process it in your group writing. Fourth time, you do something with that material in your writing assignment. And in these 2, when you're doing the discussion and when you're doing the individual writing assignment, those require you to go back to the reading or your notes and look at it again. So you'll have seen the material 4 times. And every time you see something 4 times, it tends to click. Now, sometimes in this class, because I have so many students, it'll be 3 times, but I would really prefer it to be 4. 4 is the magic number. 3 is not quite enough, but 4 really does it. You hear something 4 times, you'll remember it. All right. Community is hard to build online, and professors struggle to get feedback when they cannot directly interact with students in person. This being the case, you will be assigned a weekly assessment of the class. These do not have word count or rubric. If you do them, you get the points. It's 10 easy points every week. I use these in several ways. 1, to make adjustments to course design, reading, and assignments, but also to nuance my assessment of student performances and to just interact with students. All right, students will write a midterm and a take-home final. Oh, UH. Sorry. All right, so students will have, are going to have a midterm and a final take-home exam, and in both, you'll be asked to perform a comparison. We'll talk more about that. Students are encouraged to make use of the UH Writing Center for longer assignments, though the Writing Center may be of aid for any assignments in this course. As you can see, the module tasks above cause students to process the material 4 times. Further, there are lots of chances to acquire points. I've never had a student who has done all the work earn a poor grade. In addition, this course at UH requires field visits, 5 in number, in which students will visit a religious site, and there'll be a number. I'm going to try to generate a list in Houston, but I don't live there. Interview members of the community and write up their field notes. This is a requirement for all Introduction to the Study of Religion courses. You'll learn more about this assignment as the class progresses. All right, grades and grading scale. So discussion of short assignments, field visits, and your exit tickets are going to be 70% of your grade. So just do the work. The rest of your grade, about 30%, is going to be midterms and final papers. All right, attendance and makeup policy. This is an asynchronous course, so attendance will not be tracked in a traditional manner. You're responsible for filling out and performing the assigned tasks before the deadlines. Unsubmitted work will be graded 0 at the time of grading. Do not get behind, for it is very hard to catch up. Communication with the professor is key. Extensions are decided on a case-to-case basis should a student contact the professor before the deadlines pass. If you contact me 24 hours before the deadline and request an extension with a good reason, I'll usually give it to you. If you contact me after the deadline, I likely will not. Seriously, the minute you're under pressure and in danger of falling behind, contact me and make a plan for success. Keep in mind, Blackboard tracks and reports the number of times you access the software and the time engaged on the software. Policy regarding plagiarism. Okay, we're getting down to the end. All assignments submitted must represent a student's own work. Plagiarism is a serious offense and will be dealt with accordingly. If you use the words or ideas of others without proper citation of the source, you may be suspended or expelled from the university. I take this very seriously, and if I suspect you have included any amount of material from uncredited sources, I will investigate vigorously. Just don't do it, and if you want to use other people's ideas, just cite them. Don't copy and paste. Just do not copy. Do not copy and paste ever. Copy and paste misuse is at the root of almost all inadvertent plagiarism. T. Do not mine internet sources for material in your assignments. In general, just work with the materials I give you. I don't want you to go out and do external research on the internet unless I ask you specifically to. So if you've got a bunch of quotes from outside sources, I might not give you credit for those quotes because I want you to use the sources from the class. Bleeding a little bit. Isn't that fun? I love having a tooth pulled. Okay. Anytime you use information from a web page or online source or a book, you must either quote it directly and cite it, or you must rewrite and paraphrase it and cite it. Any instance of plagiarism can amount to dramatic repercussions, not excluding failing the class and even expulsion from the university. I always prefer evidence and quotes from course materials rather than outside sources, except on occasions when I specifically ask you for outside research. I will enable anti-plagiarism software on all your assignments, which will check your work against other UH students, student paper databases, and across public sites across the internet. Should the software flag a student writing, I will begin an investigation. Note, if you are a student with a documented disability, and I'm dyslexic, so I get it, and would like to discuss special academic accommodations, please contact me during office hours, which are anytime. Just write to me at the beginning of the course. Also, if you're an English as a second language student, I always have a bunch, please discuss this with me. If you do not self-advocate, I cannot help you. I take these accommodations very seriously and will do my best to help you. Understand that I understand the hardships of writing in a foreign language, since my own work involves learning numerous, archaic, and some modern Asian languages. All right, here's the week-to-week breakdown real quick. So each module is going to have several assignments. The details are found on Blackboard in the specific modules. I'm continually changing these assignments, trying to make them better and clearer, so their details are not currently on the syllabus. I recommend you watch the lectures for each module on day 1 on Mondays and day 2 on Wednesdays whenever possible. I'm going to try to get everything up on Sunday. All right, so I'm just going to go over the modules real quick and show you how to do this. Module 1, I don't have dates on here, but you look to the calendar on Blackboard to see what you're going to do. So here, religious studies, comparison, and contest. I'm going over the syllabus, class intro, the text, and the authors, which we've already done. So reading. The readings listed under each day are to be completed before watching the lectures. No reading for the first day, just review the syllabus and watch the video. So for day two this week, big questions. What is religious studies? What is comparison? What is doing versus believing? Academic versus personal study of religion? The weird as experience and encounter. So for that, your reading you're going to do before you watch the lecture. You're going to read Kripal, page 1 through 7, an important note to the instruction. Oh, that's optional. You're going to read this link here, McCutcheon's Anthropology of Religion, right there. And Ramanujan has an essay from 6 through 33 called "Is There an Indian Way of Thinking?" It's it's an interesting but kind of complicated article, but students tend to really like it when they get into it. So you'll have a PDF of that. All of those are going to go up very shortly. All of them will be used in the lecture here. So then we're moving down. Let's study for next week, Module 2, Methods, Comparison, Lived Religions. Here you're going to read Kripal 1 through 27, and then you're going to read this article by Narayanan, and then you're going to watch my lecture. Comparison, Comparative Practices in the East and Jainism. Here you'll read this 27 through 39 by Kripal. You're going to read this essay. That's going to be a PDF by William Dalrymple. This is going to be one of your favorite readings for the class. It's really good. And then you have a recommended reading by Suketu Mehta, and you'll have a PDF of that. So Kripal, anytime it says Kripal, that's your textbook. Okay. And if you have another thing, it's usually going to be a PDF. All right. So then we're going to talk more about religious studies in the category of religion. We get to culture and magic. We're actually going to think about the nature of culture and various categories and religions. And then you're going to read a piece that I wrote. It's actually a big section out of my dissertation about black magic in medieval India. We're going to talk about myth and rituals, and we're going to watch a really interesting video about Vedic rituals in India. Next, and this is where things start getting weird, entheogens and altered states of consciousness and possession. We're going to talk about psychedelics and what those occur. Then we're going to do a 2-part unit on possession, where we're going to talk about malicious dead. That's a really scary kind of possession story. That's very different from what you see in possession in the West. And then we're going to look at benevolent possession, when possession is a good thing. Next, we're going to talk about the flesh, tantra, and yoga. So we're going to talk about the body in religion. Then we're going to talk about tantra, which is not tantra or neo-tantra. And we're going to talk about sex rituals. There, you're going to read from Andre Padu's The Hindu Tantric World. These are great chapters. They're really good. Then yogic and tantric bodies. Here we are. Oh, and here I believe we're also going to be watching a video that I think you'll dig. It's on Netflix. Okay, so then we'll talk about yogic and tantric bodies. So we'll talk about the conception of the body in these two ideas. We'll have our take-home midterm. Charisma, gurus, and cults. This is where students love this section. Here we're going to talk about charisma and the social dimensions of religion. And then we're going to talk about a couple of cults and culty figures. Aliens and human potential. Yeah, baby. So magic, miracles, and aliens with Kripal. Then we're going to talk about aliens and alien abductions and alien encounters. Then we're going to talk about yogic powers and mental magic. We're going to do the death and afterlife. There we're going to look at Kripal, thinking about death. And we're going to do some really cool stuff on the Tibetan Book of the Dead, which explores the space in between life and rebirth. Then we're going to move into religion and politics, and we're going to look actually specifically at religious crises and religious nationalism and religious conflict in India there. Moving on to interpreting religion, religious tolerance. Here we're going to talk about Hindus and Muslims getting together really well in India, which is kind of fun. Then we get to Wondrous Religions, our last part, where we're going to talk about expanding the world of religions to do all sorts of new and interesting things and talk about temple worship in India. And finally, we'll have the conclusion. All right, that's the class. I'm glad you decided to take it. I'm looking forward to meeting y'all online. And really, if you need to, I'm around. So schedule a Zoom meeting with me, and I'm happy to meet with you at any time. So I will get your stuff up soon, and I'm looking forward to reading your first assignments. Actually, your first assignment will be to give an introduction of yourself and record a little video. So I will see you on the flippy side, and you will see me with less of a beard in the videos. All right, y'all take care. Bye-bye now.